Hey everyone, welcome back to Planet FB2X, where I live and breathe Dragon Ball Z Dokkan Battle every single day, at least until I run out of stamina. First off, I just wanted to say thanks if you're here and checking out the video. I'm enjoying putting out Dragon Ball Z Dokkan Battle content every single day. So a big shout out if you're checking out my content. It's really appreciated, and I'll continue to put out videos every day regardless of traction. I am having a lot of fun doing this, so I'm just going to keep doing it regardless of how things are going. So with that being said, uh, today's video, I wanted to actually talk about where I think the meta of supports is going, because they've recently been releasing support type characters that don't really fit the bill compared to what we're normally used to. We've been used to the key plus 1 to 2 to 3, and then attack and defense up by 30 to now up to 50%, I would say, even is the meta. We don't have the physical 40% awakenings yet for those supports, as in the Boo and the ultimate, or it's not the ultimate Gohan, but the Gohan in the Kai vest, um, or in the Kai gi. We don't have those two yet, but we have all the other ones. So we're gonna get them soon. But I think we're just on the cusp, actually, of a new meta for supports. So I'm just gonna go ahead and hop right in. Uh, there's gonna be quite a few units that I wanted to talk about, and the first two are actually the ones that I think kind of started this shift a bit. So the first one is Heartless Destruction Kid Buu. So when he got his Extreme Z Awakening, he was still relatively okay for support type abilities before he got his Extreme Z, because he gave 50% to all allies when his HP was 80% or above, which at the time was insane. We didn't have any other support at the time when he came out that gave 50% to attack and defense. And then when they Extreme Z awakened him, he now gives Ki plus 2 as well as attack and defense plus 50%. So I kind of feel like this guy paved the way for the other 50%, for the extreme and super monotype 50% supports. He kind of paved the way for them. Um, at least that's how I feel about it. I don't know if they ever thought about giving those cards an awakening. Maybe they did, and they just kind of put it on the back burner for a while because the meta didn't suit it. Although we haven't been in mono super typings, sorry, mono super and extreme typings meta for a very long time now. But anyway, I think he's the one that started all of this. That I'm gonna all the stuff that I'm gonna get into eventually with um, the later units. So the second unit I wanted to talk about was Hopeless Minus Energy Omega Shenron. SDR Omega, once you Extreme Z Awaken him, becomes ridiculous. Um, he gives all enemies attack minus 40, attack and defense plus 80% for himself. And then any full power category ally is Ki plus 2 and attack plus 40. So again, when he came out, when his Extreme Z came out, I should say, there wasn't really anything like it at the time. Um, and he he's almost, I wouldn't say he's a must run on the full power category, but he's definitely one of your best options. Even if you do keep him off rotation, he will help a lot with his attack minus 40 and his Ki plus 2 and attack plus 40 for your own teammates. Um, so he was another one that I think kind of started this meta shift. And that's all I really have to say about Boo and Omega. That they just, I feel like they kind of started this whole meta shift and new age support, which to me, I I think some of these units don't necessarily fit into just a support role. For example, Cooler here, he can also hit insanely hard. But the reason I have him here is because before you transform him, he acts like more of a support type, and he can actually give two buffs, um, two different buffs. Sorry, I should say. It just depends on whether you're facing one or two or more enemies. But if you're facing two or more enemies, he gives key +2 and attack and defense plus 50% to terrifying conquers. That's insane. We, I when Cooler came out, we already had some of the 50% monotyping supports, but for him to do this for a category, for a whole category, is pretty bonkers to me. There isn't there there are other units that can do this kind of thing, and there will be more units, I think, which is what I'm getting into here with this video. But Cooler's support type abilities are amazing, and I feel like if you only have Cooler at 55%, he actually functions better almost as a support if you can build other damage units on the teams that you're going to run him on. He actually works better as a support than he does as a hard hitter sometimes, but not always. So next, I wanted to talk about Troublesome Father and Son, Paragus and Broly. They're a support type unit for Pure Saiyans or joined forces. They give key +2, attack and defense +40, attack 130 for themselves if there's a Pure Saiyans category enemy. So this unit came out with the Dragon Ball Super Broly movie celebration that we had on Global. So they Extreme Z awakened the AGL Wrathful Broly right away. So I have a feeling this guy's due for an easy A, even though he doesn't necessarily need one. I have a feeling they're going to easy A him, and they're going to make him a slightly better support for these two categories, which would actually be amazing. I mean, not that Pure Saiyans needs a really good support, but it would just make the category even more fun to run, I think. But yeah, that's what I think about Broly. I think he's gonna get an Extreme Z Awakening sometime in the near future, but I don't think he's really deserving of it. At least that's how I feel about it. I don't think a unit that's this new deserves one, but I can almost assure you that he will get an Extreme Z Awakening before many units that actually need one. But they could do something interesting with his passive. They could, maybe he gives other Broly units crit chance or additional attack or evade. That'd be pretty cool. Different kind of, again, a different kind of support that we don't really have in the game right now. So moving on, the next unit I wanted to talk about is actually Shopping with Dad Bola. Don't sleep on this unit. She's actually pretty good on her teams. I mean, some of these teams aren't exactly the greatest. Vegeta's Family or Siblings Bond are probably the two strongest that you might want to run her on. But she gives all allies key +3, attack +40%. She has a chance of evading enemies' attack, including super +30% per Peppy Gals, which is only up to 60. So if you run her with another Peppy Gal unit, her dodge chance goes up to 60%, which is pretty good. But since she's the only Bola card in the game, I think they could give her an easy A and release a second Bola card, maybe a free-to-play one, or even a summonable banner unit they could do with her. And they could just make her give crit chance or make her give dodge would be good. Maybe what if she gave attack +60% and no defensive buff? We've seen over on JP that they're willing to do some pretty crazy things with the new supports. As you guys could probably tell with the Topo Awakening, the Topo Extreme Z Awakening, I should say. He is absolutely busted, especially mostly next to Jiren. But this is kind of what I'm looking for when I'm talking about these support characters, that they kind of go hand in hand with a different character, or that they function well for a category. Kind of how they did the 50% for the monotypings. I think that we're going to get 50% category supports at some point. And if not 50% category supports, I think they'll just, what they could do is so that supports no longer just all do the same thing and give key and attack and defense. They could make it so that supports work in a different way, such as maybe giving more defense and no attack, and maybe a little bit of key, or like Topo does, less key but lower enemy defense by some absurd amount. I believe his is 70%, which is crazy. But yeah, so the next unit I'm going to talk about, even though nobody ever runs this guy because his teams are beyond garbage, except for Pure Saiyans, but there's so many better choices on Pure Saiyans. But if you're running the Super Battle Road for the Giant Form team, you want to bring Tora. He gives all allies key +3 and attack 30%. He recovers 6% HP, which can go up to 18 if you're on a full Giant Form team. And he can turn into Giant Ape up to 2 times per fight. He's actually one of the best Great Apes, even though none of the Great Apes are that good, I'm gonna say. None of them blow you away with their damage output or anything like that. Maybe Baby, Super Baby 2 can do some pretty good damage in Great Ape form, but none of these other units really can hold a stick to him. But Tora, if they gave this man an Extreme Z Awakening, he would probably become pretty busted. Mostly on the Giant Ape team, like I said, or the Giant Form team. But you could definitely do something with it, and it could definitely work well. So next, we're going to talk about Power to Overcome Adversity, Mai. She got an awakening just under a year ago on Global, but if they ever happen to give her an Extreme Z Awakening, this is exactly what I'm talking about. Time Traveler categories, key +2, attack and defense +40%, high chance of stunning the attacked enemy. This 40% would go up to 50 at least, for sure. And this might even go up to 3. So it would be, I think this is what they're working on. I could be wrong. I think they're going to slowly introduce new supports that do these kinds of things, and then they're gonna Extreme Z Awaken them, or they're just gonna make them really busted to start off with, kind of like what they did over on JP with Vados. Vados is an insanely busted support unit for 4 different categories, and she can give, there aren't many units that she gives 80% to, but that's insane. That to me shows that we're about to get into a new meta of support, which really, it makes me super excited to see. Because for a long time, all we've relied on is new units that can hit insanely hard, or defend really well, but mostly hit insanely hard. And hopefully this introduces a new meta where we can, I've always been a fan of running as many supports on a team as I can, and having 2, 3, or maybe even 4 damage output units. Whereas most people like to run as many units that do the most damage as possible, which I actually don't always think works the best. So maybe I'll make a video about certain teams where you can run multiple supports on them, and you guys can see the numbers that your damage dealers are going to be able to put up. So next, I wanted to talk about Samasu real quick. Sorry, Gowasu and Samasu. So this is another one, when they introduced him, I thought it was he was kind of a weird support type unit that I actually really like what he does. All allies key +2, defense +70%. Um, that's very different from what a lot of units do when it comes to supporting the units around them. Um, I have actually found this really useful in some of the harder events. They don't defend the greatest overall, but I think overall they are actually the best defensive support type unit. Either them or MVP 17 can hold up pretty well. But if they ever give this guy an Extreme Z Awakening, which again, I think is possible, not anytime soon, but I think it's possible that they Extreme Z Awaken these two. Um, and if that's the case, then, well, what's he going to do then? Because he already does a lot of crazy stuff. So keep your eyes out, or eyes open, I should say, for a new support meta. I'm pretty sure it's on the horizon here. So just quickly, I wanted to go over two of these hero units that already kind of do this sort of thing. Not this sort of thing, but they have different support type skills, even though they do have the key plus X amount and attack and defense plus X amount for all allies of their either super or extreme. Toa and the Supreme Kai of Time have another condition that they give for their allies, or some other sort of passive condition. So let's go over Toa real quick. Toa gives extreme class allies key +3, attack and defense +30. And she also gives them attack and defense +50% and recovers full HP once when it hits 30% or less. So kind of like the fusions, 30% is a hard threshold to hit. But for being a hero unit, this Toa is amazing. If you have your hands, or if you have this unit in your box, don't sleep on her. She will at some point almost guaranteed get an easy A when they start easy Aing hero units, because she's one of the older ones. So I think she could become even more busted than she already is. And on her teams, she actually works really well. Resurrected Warrior, she's great on. Siblings Bond, not so much. Time Travelers, she's pretty good if you can pair her with extreme class units. And on Peppy Gal, she doesn't really work that well. But she's not bad on that team either. It's just that there's not a lot of extreme type Peppy Gals for the most part. A couple 18s, and that's it. So Supreme Kai of Time here, with Power of Time Unleashed. Her passive skill is all allies key +3, attack and defense +30, and chance of performing a critical hit 12%. A great chance of an additional attack +12 for all allies, and a great chance of an additional defense +12 for all allies. When this unit came out on JP, I lost my mind. And no, not because of the reason that most people lose their mind on her. I just think that this chance of performing a critical hit, you put her next to transforming Tech Vegito Blue, and he instantly becomes a lot better. I've been testing this out, and it's amazing. I went mostly additionals on my transforming Vegito Blue, but that's how you're supposed to build them. So this +12% of performing a critical hit is actually really, really useful. So yeah, that's going to be it for the video, guys. Like I said, mostly what gave me the idea for this was the STR topo that they released on JP, the EZA forum, that goes hand in hand with the new LR Jiren over on JP. That's kind of what gives me the idea that they're about to start a new support meta, which I'm actually super excited for. So as always, feel free to leave a like, a comment, or to subscribe to the channel. Every little bit is appreciated, and I'll catch you guys all in the next video.